Welcome to the December 17th OpenZFS production user call. We have Steve, Daniel, Jan, Andrew, and myself, Michael, so far. And I'm pleased to report that the 2025 Summit videos are up. Check them out. They are fantastic. The discussions were awesome. Related to that, internally, we're looking at how to improve the closed captioning, subtitles, transcripts, whatever you want to call them. And Steve, who is present, helped out a bunch last year on putting it through the Whisper LLM. We will see together as a group with a smoke test of how good they are out of the box and see if the best strategy is manual cleanup or doing it totally separately. So Steve, it looks like you're getting your feet wet with OpenZFS development, but you're finding that the internal terminology can be quite either daunting or inconsistent or confusing. What is it you're trying to achieve?
I think in general, just making the code base a little more accessible to beginners might be worthwhile. In terms of, for instance, like what is what is a ZAP? What is a SPL? What's ZPL? And some of that stuff is in the videos. Like you can watch Matt Aaron's, talk about all that stuff. But I'm a very like vocabulary based learner. I like to learn the terminology first and then start consuming all the other content. And it feels to me like I have stumbled into a one pager that was the terminology of the internals at some point, but I can't find it.
I
And
think on
also,
openZFS.org there is one, but that's probably needing some love.
okay.
Let's take a look. Has anyone else had challenges trying to make sense of some of that terminology? Let's see. I'm doing a search on another machine here. Okay. So what form do you think that should take? Should it be updated, be it wiki, be it the docs page, or in the code itself? I'm looking at developer resources. So Steve, I mean, where do you think that work improvements, those improvements should take place?
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
No
I,
worries.
I think that's part of the problem is there's so many different sites for OpenZFS. And so like sometimes I stumble into like an area and I'm like, oh, this is the authoritative documentation. But then then I get pointed to um, something else. And so like, I just am not sure whether I'm always like in the right place or not.
Understood. And one very clear conclusion from the summit was that in the era of AI, LLMs, whatever training on Reddit, it is very, very important to be the canonical documentation, or else you will regret it. So your point implicitly or otherwise is well taken. And I'm doing a quick beginner search of like, okay, you walk in the front door, what's available? And I posted the developer resources link, but often it's like, well, here's a talk about the ZPL, which is great, but that doesn't mean it's useful either for developers or dives perhaps right past the assumed basic knowledge. And looking at the concepts document, that is all from a user perspective. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, you're certainly onto something. And is it all of the things you want to work on, or is there a specific corner of OpenZFS where you want to understand, be it strictly the DMU or the ZAPs or whatever?
Well, I think the so I started looking at this, I don't know, 3 years ago. So like I just sort of was picking around the edges all the time. But even back then, I was like, man, this would be so much more meaningful if there was a one pager that explained the SPL versus the ZPL, right? At the time, I wasn't sure how to figure that out. And it actually took a while to like to find that terminology. Then AI sort of came on the scene and started making that easier. And I could just
Hmm.
ask the LLM, pointed at the code base,
Um,
ask the LLM, and I would get some definitions and be able to kind of
be
move forward.
very careful with that. LLMs are great at making up convincing bullshit. If you ask
Correct.
them, what is this? It will come up with an answer.
Yeah, but that's better than nothing, right?
Hmm.
So
No, it can
It helped me with
teach
the
you
zpool
something which is
lubricate
totally.
command and gave
like
me
it
syntax for lubricate. Anyway,
yeah, so like having someone say something and me sort of saying, well, I think you could be right or not, sometimes is actually pretty helpful.
okay.
At least it
And
gives you
especially
something to research,
Hmm.
you know? Yeah.
I think
so
it,
back then I was using some online thing where you pointed at your GitHub repo and it would train it or whatever. So it wasn't just like asking an LLM. It was asking an LLM that had sort of been post-trained against OpenZFS. But now, I just point Claude at OpenZFS and ask it questions. And, yes, I understand it's not always going to be right, but that I think has lowered the bar for people that want to sort of mess around with the internals of ZFS for their own purposes. But even now, I still want a one pager that is all these terms that we see in front of us here.
There you go. And here's, I see how that the link you sent is not bad insofar as I had not seen these all on the same page showing some relationship between the two. So there's ZIL, ZAP, DSL, DMU, and SPA.
remember this is a
Yay.
2010 PDF slide deck from Oracle. So it's Oracle ZFS as it was 15 years ago.
Fine, but I'm not sure those have fundamentally changed one bit. Anyway,
Exactly.
so okay. Making a note here. Uh, what page is that? That's 19. Note page 19 on those terms and their relationship. Got it. Well, let's see what Rob has to add. Hopefully he'll roll in like 20 minutes. So I believe Daniel, you and Jan were both present on yesterday's jail call when we proposed the notion of Zelta rebase. What would that do for our listeners?
So I think we can generalize this a little bit to just a ZFS concept that I think is already in use, but it would be really nice if that was fully on Rails. But the idea is uh, to have a production system that is a replica of some upstream sort of repository. And that file system could then get updates via that repository. And and then those updates could be applied via a source clone. So that is so Zelta rotate is the tool is the concept that I use for that. Basically, rename the thing out of the way, find all of the common clones between the upstream and the target, and then clone it. But then we could add another step, which is using the new block cloning feature. We could simply clone all of the files back that the user changed on that quote unquote rebased file system. Um, let's see. Jan, you want to try to put that in a different way so
Well,
that we can make that
I
clear?
would start with the use case rather than with the implementation.
Yeah, good
So the
idea.
use case is let's say you want to run jails and you learn about ZFS and that it has copy on write semantics and that you can snapshot your golden image of your jail or virtual machine or whatever, and then use a clone to quickly create and efficiently create lots of jails or containers of other kinds in Linux or potentially virtual machine images. And you do that, and in the beginning, everything looks great. You create your template, you clone it, you do stuff with the clone, and then the first big updates hit, and you have the big sad. Because you find out the hard way that you dug yourself a deep hole where you now have important data trapped in the modifications you did to the clones, and there's no way to rebase them. There's also no way to really get rid of the old starting origin snapshot. So now what started out as a thin provision jail is an extra thick jail, and nobody is happy. Uh, in and if you apply the terminology of version control systems like Git, the problem is you can't rebase your changes. You can't take the changes you did to the clone. There's no ZFS command to do that directly. To take a new origin snapshot, create a new clone, and somehow move all your changes over, or change the origin of an existing clone. Neither of those is possible. But you can ask ZFS for the diff between the origin snapshot and what's currently in your file system. So it gives you the list of all the paths which have changed. Okay, that gives you files to copy. But if you just copy them, you would quickly use your DDoP advantage too. And here you can use copy file range to do a block clone version of the files so that you don't have to really copy them to move them into the new clone. And then you can delete the old one and the reference count is basically back to 1. That's the idea. And the use ZFS diff to copy the files out is already used by tools like OCItal, and I'm sure others have thought of feeding it into rsync or other things.
Right, though those don't use block cloning as of yet.
No, they don't use block cloning, but they use ZFS diff. Block cloning is just an optimization of
And would it be
copying the
transparent
files.
to the user, so it's either on or it's not?
During the operation, only this migration tool must use the file system. You can't do it on a running jail. You have to stop it and run it and then start it again. You must not do that while the system is running, because then you would only get the diff between the snapshot and the latest changes would be lost.
So to achieve this, would Zelta sprout ZFS diff awareness and functionality?
Oh yeah, for
Make
sure.
actions
Because
based on that, on its output,
yeah,
essentially.
because we'd want the user to be able to say, okay, just clobber anything with the user stuff, or back up the target, or rename the user files. I think that logic needs to be available, understandable, and there has to be some point of use training on that sort of thing, because I think that there could be a lot of different use cases. But I think it's mostly really a great a great win for jail users and developers who want to do sort of special kinds of like updating or mass updating where where a ZFS, an update via ZFS snapshot saves enormous amounts of time via versus you know updating a bunch of jails one at a time, especially if they're sort of complex or large amounts of larger data structures there that would benefit from the ZFS snapshot coming through. I think
Okay.
there's a
And
lot of
also,
interesting use cases here.
you save a lot of the cost associated with just the human time sink that is manually patching each of your jails.
Yeah, and it's better than, and it's better than a Docker type concept where everything is very strictly separated, because at least you now have the capacity to to take a Docker like container concept, but actually be able to work inside the container in a read write way without losing your stuff. I mean, that's like, it just solves all the problems that Docker was created around in
Ha.
sort of a funny way.
Many of the problems.
I want to eat my file system and have it too.
Exactly.
Quick question. Would you want some kind of filter syntax and such that maybe your jail has /dev mounted, and I know there shouldn't be anything dynamically added, but you just to be sure that when you go through ZFS diff, you just want to say, hey, ignore all this because now something's
/dev is
added
not a
there.
ZFS file system.
I know. So a better example, that's a terrible example. So sorry, Jan, but let's just say the OS puts something else in new things in user share, and you don't want to rebase them ever, and you won't have any private data there. Would you
Yeah, I
want
would
to have an
use
exclude syntax that says, look, my
Include
precious stuff
exclude
is
by
always here.
wildcard.
Can I please finish? My stuff is always here, and I know it's here, but let's just keep those intentionally separate when rebasing, etc.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. I think how the rebase happens is definitely going to be, personal to the project or the person. And I think that all of the bells and whistles that something like the FreeBSD, FreeBSD update.conf or whatever, it has like a pattern language and tells you what to
Bingo.
ignore and what to pop up with VI and stuff like that. Um, so, and I think one of the common things is, I mean, I think chances are probably the typical way somebody's going to want it if there's a conflict is to um, rename the new version that you got and then pop in your old version. That's probably going to be the calmest way to handle that type of diversion. Um, yeah, I mean, Jan, both. Though I am going to demo Zelta exclude mode, which is a feature request by uh, the world famous Rob Norris. So, and I found that you don't really need. I mean, yes, patterns are great, but if you use globs, then you don't really need to have. You just accept globs or not. Like if you put a star in it, then hopefully that's not part of a file name, and you can actually have a lot of flexibility on that. I mean that's I want to get into a fight about that today if possible. Maybe that's a
Uh,
maybe that's a bonus
Pattern
time thing.
and FN match or glob or something of that level, and possibly regex if someone has annoying
The stomach for it.
needs.
Jan,
Yeah,
what
I
was
mean
your
I think
quotation? File system and use it too. Was that correct? Okay. Fix it in the doc if you could.
Yes, that's
So
what he said,
got
but
it.
I never want to see my file system get eaten.
Fair
Just
enough.
saying.
So Zelta exclude was the phrase you're working with here on your feature, Daniel?
So it's basically just smart dash capital X. Dash capital X is already a feature for ZFS send replicate. I just
Okay.
added globbing to it, so it works. It works with Zelta, and you can exclude snapshots. So you can say basically, skip all of my hourly snapshots and go
Oh,
straight to the
dude.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Ah, okay.
And I mean it's quite good. It works well. I there are some tweaks I that I kind of want to finish. So 1.1 is probably coming out as a Christmas present to
Okay.
the world. So So I don't know if it's going to be perfected in this version, but there are some tweaks to get the exclusions working exactly the way I want, but it does work quite well.
That's cool. And are all those other replication tools you find in Freshports doing this? I'm guessing no.
Yeah, I mean they do. So I think the problem with some of the the ideas of the exclusion tools is that they would exclude from any part of the name. So what I did, and this is Rob's idea, by the way, is I I forced the user to use an anchor. So a pound sign, an at sign, or a slash, and then it will match against the data set suffix, bookmark, or snapshot based on that. So if you want to exclude those portions, so a very common thing I think people will do will be slash swap if it ends, if it's at the top directory slash swap, or slash star swap, and then you would exclude swap volumes. Holy hell! Do you know how nice that's going to be? um, for me? So all of my VMs, they all have swaps. Yeah, I need one. I don't need nightlies of swap. That's just a huge waste of space. That's the first thing I do when I go pruning, is I'm running around looking for swaps to delete.
Well, plus you're swapping on
So,
ZFS.
pardon?
You're
Oh, no, no,
swapping
no.
on,
For VMs. So
well, yeah.
VM volumes yeah, my VM volumes have separate swaps so that the volume itself doesn't have that churn. So yeah,
Got
I
it. Yeah.
isolate, I isolate my swap from all of my VMs.
And you don't
Um,
want a full history on those. Wow.
exactly. I just get, I mean, that's half the freaking, that's half my freaking backups.
Yeah, no kidding. Ha.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're
Uh,
thinking.
I think it would be good to have either the code which applies the pattern and force that you write the right kind of patterns by requiring certain literals in the pattern, or to split it up into kind of the base data set and add snapshot labels so that you don't accidentally, if you want to exclude something in the snapshotted data set's name, like a star slash swap, you don't want, if you have a label within the snapshot, add something swap uh, to accidentally match the wrong side of the name.
hmm Yeah, like a dash or an underscore or something. But I think
Yes.
most tools do that. I mean, if you wanted any subdirectory of swap, you would do slash star slash swap, and that would work. So if you're like, so if I'm backing up an entire, tree of VMs, then I would do something like that. But I think the glob language is intuitive enough, and it's not as complicated as, even if you can write a more elegant regular expression. I think that globbing is just calmer because it it's implicitly constraining everything between a start and an end, unless
Yep.
you add a star to either side. So I'm putting a star there. So that means, with a glob, that's first of all, a more common language for, the mortals out there. And also, um, I think that dealing with the constraints of bookmark, snapshot, data set, and or sub data set actually, will help people not accidentally exclude things they don't intend to exclude.
Daniel, is this accurate slash asterisk swap asterisk for your?
Well, I would stop with the swap, with the P, so no star after the P.
Okay, thank you. Got it. So,
So yeah, so the say, like, if you wanted to do everything that ends with the last label being swap. Hold on,
mhm.
I've got the doc open here.
Okay, sure.
Um, where is it? How do I get to the Google Docs is going insane.
Yep, that's a few times. I'll drop it in chat just in case. Very slowly.
Yeah, so here, so this would be, yeah, this would be anything with the final label of swap. That's how you would, that's how
Shouldn't it
you would
be
encode.
*/swap?
No, no, because we're not matching the parent data set name because Zelta is working with a source endpoint and a target endpoint. So you cannot exclude the endpoint that you're requesting, so that you can't exclude the top. You can only exclude from the children down. I think those constraints for the excludes will save a lot of headaches. Yeah, I'm making an opinion here. So, and by the way, capital X will work with Zelta exactly the same way as it does with ZFS. You can have the literal or the full name of the snapshot from the source, and it'll exclude that as well. So you can either use the suffix starting from the top of the data set requested, or the whole name as a literal. And no globs allowed there.
Cool. Hopefully I have that accurately.
Yeah.
Does that speak of the devil? Does that apply to other aspects of data set and snapshot management? Do we need a consistent syntax that might need to show up elsewhere? Well,
How do you mean?
anytime a shorthand, a syntax is introduced, just the question becomes, are there other places to put it, keep it, et cetera, et cetera? Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, I mean, Zelta works on a annoying it had to invent a couple of its own concepts for me to make sense of things. So you're sort of doing SCP style or rsync style backups. So you have a source, a source and a backup, like you're doing CP. So I sort of wanted it to feel like, okay, if you're doing CP of different data sets across the network, how would that look? So you're choosing a source and a target data set. So that's the top. And then anything under that is called, basically in the code, it's called a data set suffix, a DS suffix. So that's what comes up in Zelta match. So some of the terminology revolves around that, is you're dealing with the suffixes of your, of the stuff that you're targeting. And I think that's the cleanest way to display it. And I don't know, I think it's the sort of the only way you can communicate about that particular concept.
Cool.
So so the exclude works against that concept specifically.
Point of order. Welcome, Rob. People will join early until the heat death of the galaxy. I'm tempted to put on either a waiting room or must start at the start time, but that's okay. We've had a great discussion about Zelta, let me rebase and exclude syntax. And there's something we'd like to pick your brain on before we dive into anything else, which is that Steve, who attended last year's summit and kindly assisted with the call them subtitles, call them transcripts, call it whatever. He's been very much working on understanding things, which is great, such that can you point us to a developer-oriented document that explains the wonderful bucket of acronyms in OpenZFS that is, say, the ZPL, the DMU, the ZAP, the this, that, and that? Is there a canonical location of all those terms, or do you just pick them up as you go?
Yes.
Ooh, do tell.
No. You pick them up as you go.
Oh, hey, no, wrong.
I'll have to look. I'm not sure online. I know there's a good list of all those pieces in like the FreeBSD book, the design and implementation, the
Oh,
McKusick book.
okay.
But that's less useful for just sending a link. But yes, there definitely should be. But I can trying to think if I have anything written down. I guess the answer is no, and not off the top of my head. I will look, and if not, I should probably just write one down.
Any bit helps,
Because
especially in the context of you having experience and others, attempting to figure out this elephant they are exploring, and any bit of help helps.
And because some of them aren't helpful anyway, like, ZFS attribute processor is like, what the fuck is that? It's the KV
Key
store.
value maps.
Like it's the hash, it's the on disk hash table is the zap that we use for storing, directories and anything else where you might want to have a key value. So, and you would never ever guess that from attribute processor.
Okay, yeah.
Right. And there are a few things like that.
Got it. So yes, please, if you either as you go or if you just want to take a moment and over coffee and think, oh, wait, this is where I've had trouble. Let's bang out some of those.
Sorry, go.
Yeah,
I was going to say maybe.
Okay.
I was going to say maybe rather than just literally having what the acronym stands for, also elaborate on what it does.
Naturally.
It's more like a glossary of terms.
Yes, sir.
Any thoughts about where might be the best location for that? I kind of would like for it to be in the repo, but that's just one thought.
I mean, yeah, like developer resources there is good. In the repo would be good. I think there should be more. I generally think there should be more developer documentation pulled together into the repo. A lot of it kind of is, as in the comments in the code are very, very good. But they're not always complete and it's not always clear, what you're looking for. So, but yeah.
I can't say I know about the OpenZFS code specifically, but I know a lot of times when you're looking for comments in code, the challenge can be knowing what file said comments would be in.
Yeah. A good grepping tool, but yes, I do take the point. It's one of those things I think no one will ever intuit exactly the right place to look. We will all do it differently, but as long as it's somewhere, is the starting point.
Jan, what's the RG command? RG-I?
Grep grab, it's a
so
pretty
this
fast recursive wrapping tool with a bit of nicer context than just grep
Okay.
-r.
Thank you.
It's intentionally written for searching through code.
Well, this is it's the programmer's grep. So we had grep-r, and then there was ac, and then there was ag, and now there's RG.
Okay.
Each one has been an upgrade on the other over the years.
Cool.
It's very good. I use it all day.
I think I came at this with sort of I'm a true beginner, just looking to poke around at the ZFS internals and do some light development for my own purposes. So it was a very a beginning developer mindset, and I was sort of stumbling on a lot of that stuff. But maybe it doesn't have to be specifically for that, or maybe there's other uses for that type of thing.
For sure. I started, and I don't think it's online right now, but I started a thing a while ago which I was calling ZFS field notes.
Okay.
But I think I took it offline for reasons. I'm just trying to find it because I'm pretty sure I had a contents page, which is kind of this list. And if I can find that, I barely written anything. I'd written a couple pages, but I'm literally hunting around my my raw web files right now looking for.
So maybe the place to go for this is just Rob's GitHub. And
oh Lord, field notes. All right. No, I didn't get very far, but I wrote I'll throw you the contents page, which doesn't help but to give you a sense of where I was at. Oh my God, I can't find anything today. Here we go. I mean, that's just normal at this time of day. Michael, you can kill that if you want, but I just wanted to put it there for people to see. That was the index page, and
Where
I
is
wrote,
it? Where am I looking?
I just dumped it straight in the doc.
Oh, okay. Let me scroll
So
around. Oh, got it. It's down below. Got it.
that's
Got
not
it.
really it, but that was like, that's the stuff I'd started to write, and
Oh,
I
there we go.
think probably this is not entirely helpful, but because I thought that I had a better list in there, but did I ever leave it in? Oh my God, it's not online. Never mind.
No worries, but hey,
Right.
the concept, you're in agreement on the concept. That's good. You're seemingly in agreement on the need.
Yes.
So,
I'm going to bring that back online sometime today, and I'm going to start it off by just writing glossary of terms at the top.
cool. And like you did earlier with the hash table thing, putting
Yeah.
things in terms that they might be familiar with, such as if they
Yeah.
come from a database background and they call that similar thing a different thing, well, just base on that, because the absolute focus on perfection of the ZFS only terminology might bring as much confusion as it does clarity. So
Absolutely.
yeah, ZFS for database engineers, development for database, blah 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 engineers. Okay, cool. So, I see. Oh, Jan, being Jan, you found a web archive link to the field notes. Well played. So I'll leave that to Rob for you to check your
So,
own notes on your own thing.
yeah, I could put
Cool.
it back. I think I was going to move it to another site, which I'm setting up right now. So as we
Cool,
talk.
cool.
So
Well, and I
yeah.
personally would love to find a budget to spend like 6 months cleaning up docs and all things
Yeah.
wiki and all things test suite, because those are just two things that absolutely by massive agreement among many people need attention. So I think they are non-controversial, they are unambiguous. Help. So that's it. So let's see. Rob, I think we have you to thank slash blame for the whole notion of some awesome Zelta features were like rebase and the -x handling. That's what we were discussing when you rolled in.
I know. I saw the email this morning. I'm so excited, Daniel. Thank
Which
you.
email? Wait, what?
Oh, I opened a GitHub issue, so I saw
Oh,
I saw
alrighty.
Daniel's reply on the issue just this morning, a couple of hours ago.
Oh, do you have a link to
Yeah.
Well,
that? Drop her on in.
maybe
That's awesome.
maybe don't get too excited. So I think that the exclude for snapshots should not apply to the latest snapshot of the target. So that's
Um,
something that revealed itself in the so like if you exclude hourly and your latest target snapshot is hourly, then the sync becomes impossible.
Oops.
So we have to create an exception for whatever the latest snapshot of the target is and exclude the exclude for that. Or else you
oh
can't
yeah.
sync. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'll make a start anyway, and I'll provide more feedback. But I
It's
am excited and delighted.
I got
By
the
the time
commas and the multiple X's working and all
nice.
stuff like that. So I was so that I mean that so awk makes me suffer a lot, but it is nice for some of those types of things.
Once it falls back onto like string processing, like it's
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
the
Like
origin story.
that's
Yeah.
yes, that's what I've been doing for the next for the Christmas time release is just taking advantage of all that delicious data-driven stuff that all can do, and get rid of all the logic bombs that I had when I was basically learning how to program with this thing,
For real.
or learning how
I
to program for real,
you're a
or for the
champ.
public, let's
So
say, for
excited.
the public.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, public code has a different
Yeah.
feeling, doesn't it?
Yes. No, I'm old. I just haven't. I don't have a lot of open source projects.
No, I am very pleased. Thank you for taking it seriously and taking it on board. And I am looking forward to providing further feedback in the future. And maybe some code. I'm not very good at awk, but I'd love to send you a patch and be useful.
Yeah, well, I think awk, the awk version, the portable version will always exist as the recovery tool, but clearly this the things that I want to do are definitely limited by my choices to make this super portable. So
Yeah, I
so
mean,
we'll see.
but I mean that's a choice and it's important. Like, there's always trade-offs, so I got plenty of respect for that. But no,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
thanks. Nice.
So, Rob, Decembers are generally pretty quiet and boring, and I don't know. Do you have any news to share, or you been up to anything?
I of course know what you're referring to, but I'm wondering if I share the other very small, dumb bit of news, which is possibly
I like
content.
small and dumb. That describes some of us.
Okay, well,
I mean,
let's start off with small and dumb, which isn't the thing I was telling you about yesterday, and then we can have a bigger talk. And that thing is that if the as of looking for a timestamp, which I can't remember anything. As of 5 hours ago, FreeBSD main BE control will
yes.
zpool history log stuff.
Yes. Do
I
you have any
saw that.
links relating to that? Can you drop it in the doc or chat or somewhere straight in context here?
Yep, yep.
Was
I've
it
lost my brain.
20 or 50 lines of code to add that?
The diff stat says plus 85 minus 18. So I cannot take all the credit because Kyle Evans at Clara did the polish, but basically one of our customers had brought it up and he's like, "Oh, I've never heard of that before." And I'm like, "Dude, I hear that like every week." And we talked about it a bit, and I'm like, now I'm annoyed, and I just went and did it, and he's like, "Oh, cool, I've got a bit left in the December budget, I'll pay you for it." Thanks, man. I wasn't even expecting that. He's like, "Yeah, if you were expecting that, we would have had a different conversation." But anyway,
Yeah.
so that's the commit. Let me find because I
I
have
mean,
just a little
I want to
example of what it looks
I
like.
want to say that has come up in both of the last two summits. So
Yeah,
there
right.
are people who wanted it.
Yeah, oh, I absolutely know, and it's just one of those things. Like, it's such a like, and I sensed it was a small thing, but I didn't know, and because the FreeBSD source is just a tiny bit too complicated for me because I'm not in it most days, so I don't quite.
For those of us that don't know what the hell you're talking about,
Welcome, Dave.
could you explain the feature a little bit, please?
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. I was finding this link. Sorry, not this link. So I don't know how, Michael, can you finesse that into text? I've just pasted the thing in. But basically
sure.
what happens is, oh, look, I've got all my sudo env and everything, but whatever. No, everything's fine. FreeBSD has this boot environment concept, which is basically make a snapshot of the root file system. The ZFS. Make a snapshot of like the root where the files where the operating system is stored. This is me showing my not quite FreeBSD showing through, and the
Should
bootloader.
I try it?
Well, you tell me if I'm wrong. I know you know. So the bootloader knows that, and you can say, "I want to boot into this one." So the idea being, you take like a snapshot, and then you do your upgrade. And if the upgrade doesn't work, you just boot back into the older one. And because it's just a snapshot, it does the right thing. So there is a separate command. These are called boot environments. There's a separate command called BE control that lets you work with these things. And it has a couple of other niceties because it knows it's doing operating system things. And so that tool, BE control, is a wrapper around, it uses libzfs, so like the ZFS zpool utility library to do its work to create the snapshots. So the ZFS and zpool commands have the history thing. So every time you run a command that modifies the pool in some way, creates a snapshot, destroys something or whatever, it will log something into the pool's internal log. You can type zpool history to see that. So you get a record of all the commands that ever were run on this to change its state, which makes it really easy to, to like debug the pool. Like, how was this created 20 years ago? Oh, BE control has never done that. So you could end up, taking a snapshot or importing on a different boot environment, and you wouldn't be able to see that in the log. So it was quite frustrating. And now you can. It will log its own little bcontrol commands into that log as well, so you can see what happened. How did I do, Jan? Probably sort of.
Sort of. So if I understand it correctly, what happens is when you create a boot environment, you create a snapshot, you create a clone out of that snapshot, you promote the clone so that you get a writable file system with copy on write semantics.
Right.
And then there's a little bit of helper so that you can set the bootfs property to the right data set. That's what activate does, and the other half is, and then there's some logic in the rc.d scripts and so on that you're temporarily activating the boot environment, you're not getting the not full VARDB and so on, so that you don't clubber the normal VARDB. Or package management stuff and so on.
Make a long story short.
Go ahead.
When you take a snapshot normally through the ZFS command, it logs it into an internal log that's part of the file system. If you use beatom is ours. Whatever the BSD equivalent is.
BGCTL.
Okay, BCTL, to create one for the purpose of dealing with upgrades. It wasn't doing that before. Now it does.
Yeah. So before you had to look at the low-level history of the changes, and you didn't get the human readable history version of what it does. And that is because the zpool and the ZFS commands just concatenate the command line with spaces between the arguments and write that as one line to the history buffer.
Yeah, and that's the idea, so you can see the commands you ran. Yeah, I'm not claiming this. I don't actually know if this is like the right thing or the best thing, but it is definitely +1 on what we had before.
Oh yes.
So yes, and yes, Paul Danelli called it the whole logging mechanism a dumpster fire, and he is absolutely right.
Okay, got it. So
but
I'm in two minds if it should record the high-level bectl commands or the equivalent sequence of ZFS commands.
Well, and why didn't they? That's what baffles us users. We're like, it's just not doing the thing, but everything's logged, right?
Well, no, that history mechanism is, to the extent that it's designed, it is fundamentally designed for recording the command that was typed.
Okay.
That is what it's supposed to do.
Versus libzfs usage. Yes, thank you.
No,
right.
I kind of suspect that the reason why it was omitted in bectl is not because it's hard to implement, but because if you learn from the ZFS command as the example, it's hidden out of place because it's not where you do the actual commands where the history gets appended, because the ZFS command just has a function which infers, does this command have to be written to the kind of give me the argument list? Will this argument list need recording to the history? If so, join all the arguments with spaces and write it to the history. So it's not with each individual command. It's out of the way where you wouldn't look if you are learning from it as an example.
I don't think
reading the ZFS command to understand how to use libzfs.
I don't think anybody was considering using the history for the purpose of learning. I think control
using the ZFS command source code to learn how to use libzfs.
No, you're not supposed to learn how to use libzfs. You're not supposed to. It's internal code. The moment I can make it not a shared library, it will be better for everyone. But yeah,
I think happened here was batom, it just wasn't thought about when it was written.
Yeah, it looked like
And the
that. It was
Lumos one is perfect, Andrew?
What?
Then is the same issue both on BECTL and BEADM?
I don't
Both
know.
suffer?
I haven't spent a lot of time going back and looking.
Okay.
I probably can if you want to give me a minute.
And anyway, if it helps the general cause, and if this is something that needs improvement on a Lumos, improve it.
So is this to add more stuff to the logging so that we can learn from it, or so we can boot from it?
Just
No,
see
it's
what you
just
did, eh?
it's really just there so that we'll know the history for record keeping purposes, kind of thing.
Okay. It's additional logging is what it was. Sorry, I
Oh,
misunderstood.
yep.
It's so that bectl commands show up in zpool history.
Yeah. So you can so you are able to see the commands that were run on your pool that have caused some kind of modifications. Which is really helpful with debugging, recreating things, stuff.
Yep. Okay. Anything else on that topic? And thank you and congratulations if it hasn't been said already.
Give me just a moment. I'll have you answer your question.
Cool. And my apologies on the recording. I'm not able to type efficiently on the laptop that is doing the recording, so I'm on another one and just kind of scrolling as appropriate as best I can. So Andrew, you're looking up something on the topic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do not. Looking at one of my R pools, I don't see changes for when we did stuff with the boot admin the boot environment. Yeah, on this host, and this host does have multiple boot environments, so
yeah.
Well, there you go.
That indicates to me that we also need similar changes. Ours would have to be a little bit different though, because in addition to the changes that would need to be logged for beatom, a lot of that stuff on our side is also handled by package, which is ZFS aware and will create boot environments itself. So we would also need that.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick skim through the Lumos source right now, and yeah, there's the call is not in libbe there, but yeah. But
cool.
Yeah, it would need a little more work, but it'd still be pretty simple, and that patch wouldn't apply the same, but it would be.
I'm sure it's completely like boilerplate. So basically, you'd be doing the same thing to both programs.
Cool. Okay. Does anyone have any other news? Rob, do you have any news you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah. So I won't mention the company yet, but
stop right there. Going to last week's call where you mentioned a list of questions that you publicly shared out there, as I recall, which was, hey, what would it look like if you had free, was it rain to improve on, I think, user space ZFS? So, okay, take it from here.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, user space ZFS. Basically, I will be going off to work at a company which you know, but I'm just not going to name on the recording. But I would totally name off the recording to work on user space ZFS next year. As in, it's very much they saw some of the conversation at the summit and they asked me, are you serious about that? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, why didn't you come and do this with us? I'm like, okay. And yeah, they have a particular product feature in mind. And I sort of said, yeah, but I don't want to do just another user space ZFS. We've had 3 or 4 of those and they've never made it back into upstream. And they said, no, 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 we'll do it right. I'm like, okay. So I'm going off to do that next year. And I just don't want to mention the company because I'm in the middle of the transition right now. But
Naturally.
so that's good. So
Awesome.
like nothing will change from your perspective, but maybe we'll start to be able to move forward on all those ideas we've had that I don't have time for. So that would be good.
Whew, that is awesome. Okay, I'll take it. Those are 2 very tangible steps forward, and I'll never forget working on documenting FreeNAS 10 Corral, and I did a bunch of things, and I said, here, look at your zpool history, and there's nothing there, and I learned that, oh, pylibzfs was not logging. Like, great.
Oh, I will say one other thing for the recording, just particularly for the regulars in this call. I just kind of hand wave that away, but this call and the summit and just your work and advocacy and presence has been massively, massively important. I turned up out of nowhere a couple of years ago, and everyone's been very welcoming and opened plenty of doors. So even if for you this call is just we get together once a week and we yap about ZFS, it has been a massively important thing for me personally, and like I thank you. I am very appreciative. So
You're welcome.
That's to everyone. It's good. That's what I should have said the first time.
It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have you participating, and your accessibility as a developer has just been magical insofar as a lot of us have notions of ideas in our heads based on decades of Unix use, but we don't know how to put it in, say, ZFS terms. And having things patiently explained are essential. And so thank you right back.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, Rob.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome,
Okay.
Stu.
I appreciate it. I feel weird now, but I appreciate it.
Welcome, Stu. I'll add you to the doc here. So, Stu, we routinely start early because people will join early until the heat death of the galaxy, despite us changing the hour later shift for Rob. But hey, it's worth every moment. Stu, to recap some great news as of like a few hours ago on.
Oh, I was on. I've been on.
You've been on? Jeez, okay.
I've been on since top. I've been on since top of the hour. You guys have been yakking around. So.
Yeah, we have. Cool. Welcome. Do you have any topics?
Not yet, but after the New Year's, I may have a interesting topic that has some different connotations to it.
Okay.
And historical pain points that we might be able to discuss unrecorded.
Cool. Dan L., do we have you to thank for these comments on record sizes and block sizes and hardware block sizes and stuffs?
Yes.
Hello. We were wondering. And you did follow the guidance to add stuff to the doc and it'll get discussed, but we weren't sure if you did it.
Yeah, I didn't.
Any objection to jump into this, everyone? What you got?
Basically, I created a zpool 5 years ago, and sometime recently, ZFS started complaining about it, saying this thing about the non-native block sizes. And all I can think of is that I used the same commands back then to create it as I did now and didn't get the same results. And I have no idea why. Was ZFS doing something different in 2020? Or is it doing something different now? Or I'm pretty sure I copy and pasted my commands into the blog post.
I think FreeBSD started forcing 4K sizes at some point in the last few years, maybe in the last 2 years. But I think because I had a contract with Clara and they helped me hugely figuring all this stuff out. And I remember sometime in our work together, that was some new thing that you didn't have to be quite as careful
Yeah.
about spool creation because it was going to start,
Well,
forcing 4K no matter what.
I know
I've
on
heard. Go ahead.
I'll say I know on the Lumos side of things, it will. I had said this earlier. It will identify what the block size should be based on what the drive tells it. And there were a bunch of drives made that they reported as being 512 in such a way that ZFS will pick 512, even though they should probably be 4K.
Right, 4K emulated, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, except they didn't even report it as emulated right.
Right.
Because the ones that reported correctly, ZFS would still make it would still do ashift 12 on. So I know personally, ever since it's been an option, I have specifically always included the ashift 12 flag on every pool I make.
I didn't do that, but I did
If what
minus a 4K. Is that the same thing or a different thing?
That might
What,
be
that was
BS.
on creating, to back up, some background as to how I did this. I always have a GPart scheme on my drives. So I created the schema and then I did a GPart add minus a 4K on each one of the 4 drives in this 2-pair mirror.
Is that strictly for alignment, regardless of what the zpool does?
Yeah, that's for partition alignment within the disk, or the parent partition if you have nested partitioning, which you shouldn't have these days.
And so the ashift comes into the zpool creation? Because
ashift is zpool creation.
Okay,
It's,
I know.
it's VDEV creation, I think.
Well, yeah, but
technically he's right. It is VDEV creation, not pool creation.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, the ZFS will ask the layer below what is the sector size of this drive, not what is the partition alignment. So
right.
But setting an ashift overrides that. So it says don't detect, just use this.
And I'm quite sure there is no ashift in any of my previous commands. So I guess what may have happened is that things are different now when you don't specify ashift than what it was in 2020.
It would have been. It's not that things I don't think are. Well, I mean, they're saying FreeBSD may default to 12 all the time, but at least it used. At least, like I said, at least on our side, the default is, do whatever the disk says it's supposed to be. And so that can be either 9 or 12, depending on your disk. 9 is a 512 byte block.
Yep.
4K is 12.
Okay. So
FreeBSD
it sounds like
has the same logic, but with the argument that, yes, right now your drives are 512 byte native, but with the understanding that the user will probably not buy a 512 byte disk forever, whenever you have to replace a disk, and the performance costs are really painful if the disk has to do a read modify write. If it even does that, if it is truly 4K only without emulation, it's just not usable as a replacement drive. So the FreeBSD installer, so BSD install in the ZFS native mode, will always set the min ashift in sysctl.conf as part of the installation.
Which, to clarify, is something I totally agree with, which is why I manually specify -ashift 12, is because I totally agree with the assessment that that's how we should be thinking.
It's in sysctl.conf, not rc.conf.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I have a question mark. I multitasted here.
So
thank you.
What's the consensus of what we think happened?
Your FreeBSD installation probably predates that installer feature. So
it's not an installed, it's not a Z root.
no, but if your FreeBSD installation was installed before the installer did that, the line in etc sysctlconf is not there, so the default ZFS logic applies. So you can
Okay.
end up with a 512 byte.
So it's not the
Or
installer, it's the version of FreeBSD that you're running.
it's the version of FreeBSD you installed on this FreeBSD installation with,
Okay.
and then probably upgraded over time.
Yep. Okay.
The config
So,
the config wouldn't change just because you updated.
yeah. FreeBSD update or doing a source upgrade or package base won't retroactively add the
Well,
line which the installer would add by default.
what's the line I should look for? It's a sysctl?
Yes, it's a line in etc sysctlconf, and it should say something with min ashift. You should have a line, or is it in loader.conf? Let's check. It could also be in boot / loader.conf.
Well, I'm looking in, so looking at sysctl is no help, right? Not seeing anything ashift in /boot, for example.
And Rob has added a ZDB command to see the ashift on the pool.
Well, I've already destroyed the faulty pool.
And in the sake of documentation,
Would that,
which dumps.
Rob, would this command now be helpful on the new pool?
Yeah, that just shows you what it was created with internally.
Okay.
Because the ashift property, if you don't set it, will always show as 0 in zpool get, so that'll show you underneath.
Yeah, that's right. 12. It's now 12.
It's
Yeah,
not 12.
It
It
is
is 12.
now
It is
12.
12.
Okay.
All right.
But
So that's
I get two values back and it's 12.
Yeah, it'll be showing one for each VDev or drive or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
almost always they're the same. So yeah, so you've got that's set to 4K.
So it's still the same commands that I used back then as now. So it must be something different in the OS or a configuration file somewhere that says, okay, do it this way now. And this was FreeBSD 14.3. So the idea seems to be that it's a configuration item or an OS item.
Yes, I would need to check what the FreeBSD disk driver in ZFS does.
To be clear, the problem is now solved.
Yeah, cool.
I
But it would still be,
destroyed the Z,
I mean,
copied
that's
all
good.
the data off, destroyed the Z pool, recreated, copied all the data back on.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't.
that is good, but yes, we still really do like this does come up as a question, and I don't like it's not clear to me either. It's usually it's hard because it's kind of set in stone once you create the pool, regardless of what happens with changing disks into the future and whatever. It's also not very easy to find out what's happening. It's also not very easy to know what would be best, and that makes it really difficult on things that have things that are set forever. So I'm mostly just taking notes at this point, not that I know what to do with them.
I mean, to be clear, my opinion is that the recent versions of FreeBSD that have that min ashift level equals 12 is absolutely the correct thing to do.
I do agree.
FreeBSD is making the right choice there.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I have in actually in my system now. The sysctls The max auto A shift is 14. The min auto A shift is 9. But this may have been set there from a long time ago.
Yeah, I would
The
make that.
range of
Sorry, go ahead.
the range of 9 to 13 is the default. 9 is a traditional 512 byte block, like we had starting with IDE disks in the ancient times. And 4K was a push when drives got so big that the padding between sectors at 512 bytes just became too painful and too wasteful. And the disks were so large that you had enough blocks anyway. So the native block size was raised to 4K. And then the question is, what will the disk do if you try to do a 512 byte write? Will it do an expensive read modify write cycle to emulate 512 byte, or is it 4K only and refuses the write? If you have the emulation, adding this disk to a VDEV with a shift of 9, so 512 byte, will frequently trigger this expensive read modify write logic in the firmware. If the disk doesn't have it, you will just be unable to use it in the VDEV. And that's a really annoying, ugly corner case because you don't want your new disk performance to suck for all intents and purposes. And you also don't want the replacement disk you bought for repairing your degraded pool to just be incompatible with your pool. So wasting a bit more memory on tiny file allocations and metadata is the necessary trade-off to make.
Did you say 14?
14 is the maximum by default.
And what's it refer to in records and block size?
4 times more than the 4K, so 16K, because it's 2 to the power of A shift.
Do you have a device that supports that?
Now, some SSDs have it as their native block size, but they're supposed to. Some have even bigger, like 32K.
Wow.
Really big enterprise SSDs. I think some are even talking about making the native block size even bigger, up to 128K, but those are multi-terabyte enterprise SSDs you and I would only dream about. And they have reasonably performant emulation in that case.
Okay.
Better than spinning disks.
Cool.
There's a couple of things kind of to note here. Like I said, the transition between A shift 9 and A shift 12 was really that 4 terabyte range. And anything above 4 terabytes, I don't think A shift 9 works at all. I think that's where you just need too many blocks. The transition from 12 to 14 native happens because the nativeness on SSD comes down to page size. And so in order to efficiently increase the amount of space on disks, the easiest way to do that is to just make chips with bigger page sizes. So, of course, SSDs are so bloody fast that emulation is no longer an issue like it is on spinning media.
Also, they can do some kind of rear leveling indirection table stuff of their own, so that you think you have it sequentially, but really it's fragmented and packed together close enough that you're not expected to find out.
Yep.
Cool. Any other topics, ideas, questions, news?
I just want to say thanks for the discussion on that. We had theories floating around social media, and this seems to have solved it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You've come to the right place.
That's what we're here for.
We fix social media. We fix social media. Cool.
Oh, well,
That's the new. That's the new tagline for Caliber.
Yes,
Now
sir.
we just have to train
So
our
long, fool.
future AI overlords to read our minutes instead of Reddit comments.
Ha.
They're not
You
our
get right on
overlords.
that.
Rob, any other fun news, wisdom stuff? And I guess broadly, I guess the next call would be the 24th of December, which is a very important day for some.
Yeah, we're probably not going to have that one.
That's when I will miss.
Wow. Okay.
Probably.
Usually a conflict for some. People show up, they show up. I can't even get people to show up at the correct time, so I won't rule anything out. I also don't lock the meetings for like off time. So
Oh, Michael, by the way,
yes, sir.
you mentioned to me you were going on vacation soon. Please don't feel like you have to call into this from your vacation because I know you do that. And I
All
also
right.
maybe you should have you are allowed to have a week off if you want. Just
Ah,
saying. I will even sit in this call and answer questions if you would like to go away, if that's what it takes.
not if it means I missed that.
All right, I will
no.
stay away.
Goodness.
Takes.
Now,
Oh yeah,
I
Michael, we had
have
this great discussion about how we could like triple the performance by this simple little thing, and man, yeah, Jesus.
We never wrote it down.
And we never wrote it down and didn't record it, but it was great.
I have been known to be sitting on a beach and call into a meeting just to say I wouldn't be in the meeting.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. Yeah, so I'll
Use a
navigate
beach
that
right
as
now.
best I can. Who's out on beach? Wait, what?
I said I could use a beach
Oh,
right
yeah,
now.
that too.
The closest thing I've got to sand is very white. It has
Well,
grass underneath it.
some celebrate that, eh? Well, I guess, wait, hold on. Does that mean, okay, well then after that is the 31st, which is also a date that is important to some people who celebrate this calendar. And I might be in a motorhome in the desert and not have a single signal of any kind. Are we here wrapping up the year in review?
Yep.
Gosh,
Yeah, it sounds like it.
thanks,
Sounds
y'all.
like
I'll leave it at that. If
ho, ho,
anything,
ho.
thank you. Lots of thank yous.
And
If you,
it's actually worse than that.
yeah.
If we're really going to be inclusive, you also got to toss out the week after that because that's Orthodox Christmas.
Ah, yes. Pravda, pravda. Ah, huh. Not wrong. And will I be still traveling? I'll be at this desk. We did establish quite a few wish list items for 2026, and wow, we're making huge progress on them within the month of like December. So I don't want to like even jinx it, but are there broadly any other topics and goals we would love to see? And while you think about that, I'm going to see why the school is calling because hopefully our kid's not having a crisis. I'll be just a sec.
Hey, Andrew, the
Yes.
is there so what is the when I'm testing Zelta against Illumos, what CFS am I looking at? So because it's not precisely OpenZFS, and is it trying to be? Is that a goal
No.
or it's not a goal?
I mean, my understanding is the goal is to cherry pick things from OpenZFS that people have found useful.
Right.
Basically, OpenZFS forked off of us a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
so most of the development has happened on OpenZFS at this point.
Okay, point of
Right.
order.
Yes.
My wife didn't pick up our kid. Surprise!
Uh-oh.
So I will maybe perhaps make Jan you the host. I will leave it recording here. I will leave my screen sharing, but you can jump over it, and I'll maybe even catch you shortly. Either way, it's been a massive pleasure. And what a great year. This has been fantastic. And here's a seed for you. Uh, uh, let's just say OpenZFS Summit Amsterdam. There, I said it. Okay, pick up where you left off. Take care. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Michael.
Yeah, what I was going to say is there is an interest in doing OpenZFS as a module that we could swap in for
I see.
Illumos ZFS. And that's because a lot of us would like the additional features that OpenZFS has that Illumos ZFS does not.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I pushed for that. I know there's a couple of others who want that. And at this point, we're pretty sure that there's basically no way that we could outright convince upstream to just do it and incorporate it. So second best option is to, make a module.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's just funny that I have to navigate around certain switches and stuff like that when working with
all of this, I believe
Daniel?
all of the vast majority of the switches that we have, OpenZFS should have as well. It's the other way that doesn't always exist.
Right.
Daniel, in terms of the sort of feature set and switches and that sort of thing, it's very close to Illumos ZFS is very close to what FreeBSD 12 had, if that helps.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
they were basically tracking each other until FreeBSD 13 took ZFS on Linux instead. So if that helps, you could probably, if you have that kind of mode, you could probably get a fair way with it, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I guess I have to decide how I want to do that, because what I sort of have planning was just a fallback, but I need a fallback and then I need cache for the fallback. So, and then I don't feel like Zelta as a portable tool, like that sounds like a centralized tool if I'm going to start like, having to have a database of, unique options and workarounds for different places. So a stupid feature that I added was, I want to create the parent if it doesn't exist. So UP, and then I had to write some dumb function to get around this dumb ZFS bug, ZFS create bug, where it if you create it without permissions, it tries to create the directory even if you tell it not to mount. So you have to repeat the create over and over again. Well, the -u, the don't mount option, it isn't part of ZFS create. So that's just the most recent time that I bumped into something. But usually it's stupid things like, I need to filter out this language, or if I have to match against, this verbiage from the output of ZFS send and stuff like that. So anyway, it's not, there's definitely workarounds, but yeah, I don't have modes, or I don't have modes yet. So I have to think about how to handle fallbacks gracefully.
Hey, Daniel, couldn't you just use GNU autoconf and auto tools and auto break and auto fuck and so on?
Yeah.
And
So
now you
what I
have a
do is,
dozen problems.
so what I do is I use Zelta for ButterFS, and that usually helps me work around all those problems.
Oh, great.
How much would you pray?
Yeah. I'll come over to your house with a stack of floppy disks. That's the fallback.
Right.
Zelta
And
95.
make you eat it?
All right.
I have formatted thumbs drives ZFS before.
Maybe
Yeah.
thumb
No,
screws
I've
would help
totally done
more.
that.
Yeah, same. Many days. A couple of days ago, in fact. Just to check.
Deltas are delicious. Deltas are delicious in any setting. There's no situation where a block delta is not is not a wonderful thing to have, in my opinion.
Well, if your deduplicated block is corrupted.
Well, you know, two thumb drives then.
Done an array of thumb drives.
I
Yeah,
know
there you
someone who used to run ZFS on an EPC 701 with 3 USB sticks in RAID Z1, so that if one dies, he can quickly open it up and insert the next one. He
That's a
managed to write
choice.
his master thesis on this crappy contraption.
That is a choice.
Yeah, ZFS with 1 gig of memory on a 32-bit system is definitely a choice.
Well, gentlemen, I need to go finish some things. I will have
Took
to talk
some
to you all
kernel
later.
virtual address space tuning to make it mostly stable.
Take care, Andrew. Happy New Year and holidays.
Happy New Year. See you all probably the 7th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, ho, 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 y'all.
Yeah. Well, it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with all of you this year. We're making progress. It's tangible. And I can't help but notice that ZFS developers are more free agents than they ever have been in the history of the project. Work, and someone's
Your
funding it.
connection is breaking up for me.
No surprise there. Anyway,
For the
well,
remaining
thank you all.
remaining people,
You rock.
Yeah, you too, Michael. Happy New Year.
Yes,
Merry
Daniel. You were
Christmas,
saying
all
for the
that
remaining
stuff.
people.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
I will show you
Yep.
my advanced Zelta feature, Zelta --
Oh yes,
YOL,
please. Yeah.
which will survive
Nice.
the next 2 weeks.
I like it.
Automating
I like
red
it.
and green.
I love color. Color in terminals is like necessary. It's so lovely.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing modern output for I'll probably have another release, and so 1.1, which is the cleanup release, is coming out in 2 weeks, and then I'll probably have another one with some more modern features and in the Zelta rebase that we were talking about in probably March.
Mm.
So that'll be fun.
Nice work.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, I think we're all agreed we're having a great big hug. Michael is
Yeah.
your internet's a bit sketchy,
Yeah,
but I think we all know the sentiment. We all love each other here. It's very fun. It's very excellent. Thank you. I will go and
an honor to be a part of it.
do some work. All right. Good day and evening. Enjoy your break, but I'll be around if anyone wants to chat.
Rock and
Do so.
roll.
All right.
I've made
See
it
you
to
later,
the
everybody.
school. Yep. Happy everything.
You
Happy
too.
ZFS
Bye.
summits to you.